Hey, welcome back. This is Amir. We just did questions 3 and 4 in the previous video, which was a two-part question and an inference question. Questions 8 and 9, it's the same thing. It's an inference question and a two-part question. So we're going to use the exact same strategy. So step 1, we read the question for the first part. Which of the following can be inferred about Henry Hopkins Hargreaves? And then we go down to the line references for the second questions. I used different colors for the underline so we can see, easily distinguish between them. 58 through 61 right here, 64 through 66, 66 through 68, and 69 through 70 right here. So the answer to the question, which of the following can be inferred about Henry Hopkins Hargreaves, has to be in one of these 4 areas. Now, the next step is to eliminate the obvious. So if any of these line references have nothing at all to do with Henry Hopkins Hargreaves, we can get rid of it. So let's look at, let's start with A, 58 through 61. Vaudeville has risen to such a respectable plane in the last few years, and Mr. Hargreaves was such a modest and well-mannered person. Well, we can't get rid of that because it says Mr. Hargreaves was such a that's not a easily it's not obvious. We can't eliminate this because it says Mr. Hargreaves was such a modest and well-mannered person. So keep that. 64 through 66. At the theater, Hargreaves was well known as an all-around dialect comedian. Well, it's talking about Hargreaves again. So not obvious to eliminate. 66 through 68. But Mr. Hargreaves was ambitious and spoke of his, again, that's about Mr. Hargreaves. 69 through 70. This young man, which is referring to Mr. Hargreaves, appeared to conceive a strong fancy for Major Talbot. So it doesn't always work. All of these have to do with Henry Hopkins Hargreaves. So just by looking at these, we can't eliminate anything. But the third step is we can match them up. So the answer choices, the correct answer choice to 8 has to line up with the correct answer choice in 9. So let's go back. Vaudeville has risen to such a respectable plane in the last few years, and Mr. Hargreaves was such a modest and well-mannered person. So let's go through these. Any of them talk about Hargreaves being a modest and well-mannered person. He has risen to the very top of his career. No. He has a poor ear for accents. No. He's interested in changing the focus of his work. No. He enjoys listening to his elders tell the stories of their youths. No. So we can get rid of this one. Let's look at 64 through 66. At the theater, Hargreaves was known as an all-around dialect comedian, having a large repertoire of German, Irish, and Swede specialties. So all-around dialect comedian and a large repertoire for these accents. So risen very top of his career. No. Poor ear for accents. It doesn't say that. It says he has a large repertoire. It doesn't say he has a poor ear. He's interested in the changing focus of his work. No. He enjoys listening to his elders. So B can't be it. Let's go to 66. Let's do this one, D, 69 through 70. This young man appeared to conceive a strong fancy for Major Talbot. So he likes Major Talbot. So enjoys Major Talbot. None of these say anything about, it says he enjoys listening to his elders. It doesn't say anything about Major Talbot. So none of these answer choices. This young man, so that's Henry Hopkins Hargreaves, appeared to conceive a strong fancy. So he has risen to the top of his career. That's not it. He has a poor ear for accents. He's interested in changing focus of work. So this one's gone. So it has to be C by process of elimination. But Hargreaves was ambitious and often spoke of his great desire to succeed in legitimate comedy. So but Mr. Hargreaves was ambitious and often spoke of his great desire to succeed in legitimate comedy. Well, that doesn't infer that he's risen to the top of his career. It doesn't infer that he's a poor ear for accents. It doesn't infer that he enjoys listening to his elders. It has nothing to do. So it must be C. He's interested in changing the focus of his work. And we can really get that when we read in context. He was well known as an all-around dialect comedian, having a large repertoire of German, Irish, and Swede specialties, but Mr. Hargreaves was ambitious and often spoke of his great desire to succeed in legitimate comedy. So inferring that legitimate comedy is different from the dialect comedy he's doing now. So again, 8 is C, 9 is C. So just to summarize for two-part questions, so we treat two-part questions like one big question. We use the answer choices of the second question to basically narrow it down, and we eliminate the obvious, which in this case we couldn't, and then lastly we match them up. So again, the answer for the first part has to match up with the answer for the second part, otherwise it's wrong.